Hello everybody, I'm Gwen Campbell-Mindes. Welcome to Gwen's Bookish Ramblings. I spent my summer vacation kidnapped into space. This is one of those scholastic books that they used to back in the ancient days of my youth. They would have these, catalogs that they would send around to schools, and you'd bring them home, and they'd have a bunch of these scholastic publications in the catalog, and you could go and order a bunch of books. There were a lot of books from there that I would look through it and think, oh, I want that one and that one. And there are a bunch of books that I got off of that. This is, I believe, one of those books, but I don't think I've seen a copy of this in years. It had actually been so long since I had read this book that I had forgotten the title, I had forgotten the author, I basically had forgotten everything that would allow me to find it again. But recently I finally managed to once again track down the book. This is a kid's book. It's a kid's science fiction novel set in a not horrifically distant future. And it's a good time. It's so much fun. You have these two teenagers who decide that instead of going on the class trip to, wherever it was, Guatemala or something, that they were going to rent a spaceship and go to the asteroid belt and try to find, a blood gem or whatever it's called. The idea is basically, and the thing is, of course, in these times, most of us would have thought of a class trip to someplace like Guatemala as being super awesome, but if you're talking about in the future where you have actual, interstellar space travel with relative ease and, faster than light travel and stuff, getting to the other side of the planet, not really all that exciting or whatever. So you have these two teenagers who they've become close friends over time, and one of them says, I don't want to go on the school trip. Why don't we go looking for these super expensive, fancy gems just, for something else to do instead of going on the trip? So they do. And then they get kidnapped by aliens. That a couple of aliens who are basically, pirates or something, illegal smugglers, they decide to kidnap these two kids and bring them to this empire which has decided that it wants nothing to do with, their United Federation of Planets equivalent. It's not called that, it's like the United Galactic Government or something like that. Anyways, they kidnap them because they want to put them in a circus, which is like a Roman circus. And these two teens have to figure out, or, whatever, they have to figure out how to get out of this and how to not die in the circus. And the thing about the picture of the two of them facing off with slugs, is because in the first part of the book, there's sort of two halves of this. There's the part where they are captured and are going to be put into the, circus arena to basically be eaten for the entertainment of the masses. And then the second half where they are sent to rescue the, 3-year-old princess of this empire in a way that's basically wholly coercive. But the two of them, the thing is, the most distinct memory I had about this book is a scene in the middle of it where one of them, they're told that they're going to be facing off with these giant slugs, and they're trying to figure out what they're going to do. How are we going to not die facing off with, giant carnivorous monsters and stuff? And the thing is that one of them says, you know what they are? They're slugs. And you know what kills slugs? Salt. So we just need to get salt. And the two of them sort of have this back and forth about what exactly where are we going to get salt? We're not just going to be able to, like, ask them for salt. And the girl, Rianne, thinks of something. She thinks of a plan, and the plan is to work under the assumption that the aliens don't know anything about human physiology, and is going to pretend that humans just need copious amounts of salt. And so her friend Jared sort of pretends that that he's suffering from some kind of horrific seizure or whatever. And, you know, she's constantly hissing at him, can you not overplay this? And then begging them for help and telling them, my friend's gone into salt shock. We need buckets of salt. If he doesn't get enough salt, he'll die. And so they bring them salt, and she pretends to feed him some. And then they say, don't you want salt? And she's like, yeah, I totally want salt. Dying for salt. And they're like, okay, then eat some salt. And so she has to just eat a handful of salt straight, and it is just this wonderful image of the things you do when you're desperate. This is a fun book. You have these two protagonists who each take turns being the smart person. It's not a boy book or a girl book, because you have one male, one female protagonist. They're the same age. And, they take equal turns with this. Admittedly, this is all from the girl's perspective. But, I really, really think that this is a good early reader first chapter book thing. It's got a lot of adventure. It's got a lot of over-the-top silliness. It's such a good time, this book, and I am so glad that I finally found it again, because reading this, even as an adult, I just had a good time with it. So that's everything I gotta say. So I will see you all next week then.